On the news, 10 killed as gunmen attack Ebonyi indigenes during meeting in Anambra State. Opposition rebrands with African Democratic Congress ADC, David Mark and Aregbesola handed membership cards. And Supreme Court reserves judgment in Ighodalo's challenge of Okpebholo's election in Edo State. It's a pleasure to have you join News Now on TV 360 Nigeria. I am Victoria Konde. Kicking off in southeast Nigeria, where at least 10 people were confirmed dead after gunmen opened fire during a town union meeting in Ogboji community, Orumba South local government area of Anambra State, according to the State Police Command. Anambra Police spokesperson Tochukwu Kenga said the attackers arrived in 2 SUVs and shot at attendees unprovoked while efforts are ongoing to apprehend those responsible. The Ebonyi state government, however, claimed that 13 of its indigenes were killed in the attack and called for urgent action. Reacting to the incident, Governor Francis Nwifuru of Ebonyi urged his Anambra counterpart Chukwuma Soludo to launch an immediate investigation and assured citizens that the state would pursue justice without encouraging reprisals. And on the political scene, the former national chairman of the African Democratic Congress ADC, Ralph Nwosu, has formally handed over and presented the membership card of the party to former Senate President David Mark and a former governor of Osun State, Rauf Aregbesola, as the interim new national chairman and national secretary, respectively. Leaders and members of the opposition coalition had converged on the Yaradua Center in Abuja for a meeting. The 2023 presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, his Labour Party counterpart, Peter Obi, a former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, and former Rivers State Governor Rotimi Amechi were present at the meeting. This is coming shortly after the former Senate President David Mark officially resigned from the People's Democratic Party, citing worsening internal divisions and unresolved leadership crisis. Earlier on, tension erupted within the African Democratic Congress over the appointment of Rauf Aregbesola as interim national secretary. A faction led by the ADC's National Publicity Secretary, Musa Matara, rejected Aregbesola's emergence, calling it an unauthorized attempt to hijack the party's leadership. While affirming the support for broader alliances and democratic reforms, Matara warned against imposition and elite-driven power grabs disguised as revolutionary change. He stated that no formal party process had validated Aregbesola's role and urged stakeholders to uphold internal democracy as coalition talks continue. Meanwhile, the national coordinator of the Obedient Movement Worldwide, Yunusa Tanko, has disclosed that the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 general elections, Peter Obi, has submitted his one-term proposal to the coalition for consideration. It was reported that Obi on Monday said he is willing to be a one-term president in 2027. According to him, any candidate from the South elected president in the next election must be prepared to leave office on May 28, 2031, in line with the unwritten power-sharing agreement and the zoning principle. UNISA said Obi has submitted his one-term proposal to the coalition, adding that although not constitutionally required, Obi believes 4 years is sufficient to execute his vision. With me now to provide expert insight into the recent political developments within the African Democratic Congress ADC is legal expert Liberas Oshama. It's good to have you join us again. Now, the ADC has existed since 2005 but remained largely unpopular until now. Now, with former PDP and APC members like David Mark and Rauf Aregbesola joining the party and being handed membership cards, what does this say about the direction of the coalition and the credibility of its political reinvention?
We'll just take our mind back to 2014, 2015, when members of the new PDP, as they call themselves then, also some members of the CPC, some people from the then AMPP all came together to form the new political party called the APC. So it is akin to what happened in 2014, 2015. And certainly, politicians run up to elections like this will always look for, alliances, consolidation, mergers, takeover, as the case may be. So it is not new. What we are seeing is it's good for our democracy. It is to deepen democracy. It is good that members of the oppositions are coming together, because just long ago, all you hear was that the president was turning the country to a one-party state. And this is a welcome development from people who had seemingly been pushed out of the PDP, who were members of the PDP, who had been pushed out from the PDP. And so it's really a welcome development. There's nothing new to it. But if you permit me quickly to speak to the issue of, the former the national public secretary, let me use the word tantrum. It is normal. You don't expect that, because what we are seeing is not a major. What you're seeing is a complete takeover of the party by the bigwigs. And like your question rightly said, they have never had this kind of people, this kind of bigwigs in their fold before. Every election, politicians will look for platforms. So now they have found our platform, and then, a party that was hitherto, like a fringe political party, it's becoming something to be reckoned with now. So certainly some persons will throw tantrums. So I think it is just throwing tantrums, or, try to throw spanners in the works. So that's basically what you're saying. So all of these are all politics geared towards 2027. So it is expected. And then lastly, quickly, on the issue of Obi's tabling 110. Yeah, Nigerian politicians can even make, enter into an agreement with the devil just to get to power. We've seen, even Obasanjo, remember, that he signed a one-time agreement in 2003. And all of that. But when they get into power, it's a different ballgame altogether. So, but it is their thing. Anything they can do, to get into power, it's welcome by them. But the only snag for me is that the politicians are already playing the game of 2027. The ordinary Nigerians are just there, seated, docile. So it is time for the ordinary Nigerians to also come out together and also begin to strategize on, come 2027, whether they want something differently new from all of these politicians, whether APC, PDP, ADC, all of that, or whether they just want to choose between all of these people. It's time will actually tell.
Okay, now, sir, do you see the ADC gaining real momentum ahead of the 2027 elections? And with these major defections, is it becoming a viable third force? Do you think more big names will still jump on board?
I can't really say a third force. I would call it a second force, because if most of the members of the PDP are jumping ship into ADC, and then some of the people from the disgruntled politicians from the APC, some of them also will remember, some persons who were with Buhari also are part of this team. Some people who were ministers, like Aribu Shola was a minister under Buhari. So I would, and if you see all of these big wigs from APC and the PDP, moving into ADC, certainly you are not going to call it a third force, but a second force, because PDP is almost comatose. So certainly, if it is theirs to lose, if the ruling party decides not to play its game well, they will just, they are waiting in the lock to take over, from them. But how that will materialize a different ball game altogether. So a lot of people are still going to find their way there. It is just the beginning, because some persons who might not get tickets in the APC in the build-up to the election will also look for alternative. And if the ADC decides to create a credible alternative, and not become like a one-man party the way, APC and the PDP has become, certainly some people are going to, push their money and their luck to that party. All the politicians need is a platform that has people. And so once they make that platform a credible one, they are certainly going to welcome more people. But how well that will translate to more votes will be a different ballgame altogether.
Well, we'll wait to learn the outcome of the meeting and other decisions taken by the party. Legal expert Liberas Oshama, thank you very much for your time. It's always a pleasure having you on the news. Thank you. Now moving on to other stories. Ahead of the 162nd anniversary of the Nigerian Army, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, has restated the commitment of the Army to defending Nigeria's territorial integrity and democracy. Represented by the Chief of Civil Military Affairs, Major General Gold Chibuisi, Oluyede stated this Wednesday at the press briefing to herald the 2025 Nigerian Army Day celebration. Speaking on the theme of this year's celebration, developing the Soldier First concept, imperative for Nigerian Army's transformation drive, the Army Chief noted that the theme was carefully selected as a renewed drive to transform the Army by placing soldiers first. Oluyede highlighted a number of activities lined up while witnessing a military parade, equipment display, as well as the presentation of the Chief of Army Staff Commendation Award to deserving personnel caps this year's celebration.
In recent times, our nation has had to contend with the enemies of peace and agents of chaos who have brought terrorism to our borders and caused a plethora of internal security issues. Notwithstanding, the Nigerian Army has risen to the occasion to deny these terrorists the opportunity to disrupt our socio-cultural heritage or smear the sanctity of our sovereignty. In this vein, the Nigerian Army will not relent in its efforts to ensure the security of the Nigerian people and the perpetuity of our democracy. The Nigerian Army Day celebration provides an opportunity to showcase our achievements thus far and deepen collaboration with federal stakeholders towards enhancing peace, security, and the defense of our national values.
The Supreme Court has adjourned indefinitely its judgment in the legal battle over the Edo State governorship election following arguments from all parties involved. The appeal filed by Asuo Ighodalo and the People's Democratic Party seeks to nullify the election of Monday Okpebholo and declare Ighodalo the rightful winner, claiming he secured the majority of lawful votes. However, the Independent National Electoral Commission, represented by Kanu Agabi, urged the court to dismiss the appeal, describing the petitioner's stance as inconsistent and lacking merit. Reacting to the adjournment, APC leaders including Jared Tenebe and Deputy Governor Dennis Idahosa expressed confidence in the judiciary and optimism about a favorable outcome for Governor Okpebholo.
We've gone through first stage, second stage, this is the third one. And it's not a news to us. We won the election clearly, but the opposition decided to drag us all the way to Supreme Court. But by the grace of God, the judgment has been reserved, and we are very, very hopeful that it's going to be in our favor.
The two people spoke, and it was very loud and clear. I expected my younger brother as well to have seen that we are only some people, and we understand that only one person can govern at the same time. Well, he had decided to exercise his own fundamental human rights by getting to this stage. And I do not expect anything different because the lower court have laid a very solid foundation that they don't have any case.
The same thing that were canvassed at the Court of Appeal is the same thing that they are canvassing here. And it is clear, you heard our lawyers very clearly, that you cannot you must be consistent when you are filing anything in court. Consistency matters. And you cannot be in one breath saying that election is invalid and you are asking for you to be declared the winner of such an election. And when you heard all those arguments now, you don't need a rocket scientist to tell you where the pendulum is swinging. And I'm very convinced that our lawyers have done a very good job and that by the grace of God, I'm sure we will get.
The Nigerian Senate has called on the Nigerian government to give priority to indigenous contractors in the execution of small-scale projects to drive grassroots economic development. The resolution followed a motion by Senator Sadiq Suleiman, who argued that involving local contractors would enhance community ownership, boost productivity, and generate employment. Several senators voiced concern over the exclusion of local contractors, linking it to stunted economic growth and limited job creation across communities. Senate President Godswill Akpabio supported legislative reforms to level the playing field as the Senate directed its Public Procurement and Local Content Committee to work with the Bureau of Public Procurement towards implementing inclusive policies.
Numerous small-scale federal government contracts, particularly below 50 million naira, are often executed by larger non-indigenous firms, thereby limiting direct economic benefits to local communities and stifling the growth of nascent indigenous enterprises across the 774 local government areas, and reiterates that engaging local contractors for such contracts will significantly enhance community participation, job creation, increase productivity, foster a sense of ownership in public projects.
My appeal is that the federal government should look at the possibility of assisting these local contractors, especially those with low income, a project or a bricklayer or a iron bender that can do a project of 50 million naira will not be able to do it locally. They will bring somebody from somewhere to come and do it because he has been able to meet all the requirements. So all we need to do is to ask BPP to adjust their requirements so that everyone will be able to at least gain, and that will raise the economic activities in our localities.
With the prayers that we have adopted today, I believe this will cure all the defects that we have found in the contracting system and the shortchanging of local contractors and even the unnecessary conditionalities of experience when you have never been given an opportunity. And also the idea of shutting out newly registered companies from participating even when the profile of the board members or the ownership, clearly show capacity to perform.
Let's pause for a quick break. Coming up on News Now, African Union peacekeeping helicopter crashes in Somalia airport. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Let's briefly take you through our main stories. At least 10 people were confirmed dead after gunmen opened fire during a town union meeting in Ogboji community or Rumba South local government area of Anambra State, according to the State Police Command. Anambra Police spokesperson Tochukwu Ikenga said the attackers arrived in 2 SUVs and shot at attendees unprovoked, while efforts are ongoing to apprehend those responsible. We also told you that the former national chairman of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, Ralph Nwosu, has formally handed over and presented the membership card of the party to former Senate President David Mark and a former governor of Osun State, Rauf Aregbesola, as the interim new national chairman and national secretary, respectively. Leaders and members of the opposition coalition had converged at the Yardwa Center in Abuja for a meeting. Well, in case you missed any of our news bulletins or for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV and AVO TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on X, Instagram, and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery, and Apple Store. On Facebook, we are at TV360 Online. It's now time for business news, and Joy Uchejem is on standby. Over to you, Joy.
Thank you, Victoria, and welcome to Business News. Now, Nigeria has emerged as the third most expensive country in Africa for international and regional departure taxes, with passengers paying an average of $180 in ticket taxes, charges, and fees. A report released by the African Airlines Association on Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025, reveals that Gabon leads the continent with the highest international departure cost at $297, followed by Sierra Leone at $294. Now, the data from AFRAA indicates that more than half, that's 12 out of 23 of countries in Central and West Africa, charge over $100 in fees, despite these two regions accounting for only 23% of the continent's air traffic. And still on business, in an era where digital consumption is at an all-time high, a Nigerian tech startup is flipping the script by putting real value on your screen time. Lully, Nigeria's first reward-based advertising tech platform, pays users for watching and internalizing ads. Conceived during the COVID-19 pandemic by Demilade Olaosun, Lully was officially launched in 2025 after 5 years of intentional development. Users get rewarded for engaging with tailored content after answering a few quick questions once they complete brief comprehension checks.
So, you know that the advertising industry all over the world, it's a huge industry. It's a billion-dollar industry. A lot of companies budget billions of dollars every year as ad spend, right? All of the giant tech platforms rely on ad budgets too as primary source of revenue. So, but what we do, our own revenue model in Lully is that we charge a percentage. There's a percentage of the ad spend on Lully as revenue, as platform fees, right? So it means that as an advertiser brings an ad, bring their ads to Lully, we charge the percentage. Then every other percentage will be shared to the watchers to incentivize them for watching ads. So what that does is that it gives value for every ad watched. It's different from, you can put your ad somewhere and then I can install an ad blocker on my phone. I might not see it. I can decide to skip ads. But for Lully, we can guarantee that every penny spent on Lully is earned and there's a value to attach to it because nobody can earn without answering questions. So it means that if you want to, before you can earn on any ad, you have to watch the ad, internalize it, understand it, and we just test you with few questions. The moment you get those questions correctly, boom, you have your shekel in your sling.
We'll take a breather here and return with stock market updates. Welcome back. Now, the Nigerian exchange entered the second trading day of July, trading on a strong note, inching up by 0.5% as investor sentiment picked up midweek. Now, market momentum was led by Ella Lakes, which surged 10% to close at ₦9.24, topping today's gainers chart, with C&I leasing close behind. Now, compared to Tuesday's session, today's numbers painted a much brighter picture. Trading volume soared by 99%, turnover Turnover climbed 8% and the number of deals ticked up by 2%, a clear sign of renewed market activity. Now, by the closing bell, over 1.04 billion shares changed hands in 21,964 deals, pushing the day's total market value to just over 12 billion naira. Globally, however, it was a sea of red. Major international indices stumbled after U.S. labor data came in weaker than expected, leaving market flat and investor confidence shaken. And in the forex market, the naira traded at 1,570 naira to the US dollar, 2,170 naira to the British pound, and 1,810 naira to the euro, holding its ground despite broader macroeconomic pressures. And that's for your business and stock market updates. Victoria, over to you for the rest of the news.
Thank you very much, Joy, for that update. Now on the global scene, a military helicopter associated with the African Union peacekeeping mission in Somalia has crashed at the Mogadishu's Aden Ade International Airport. The head of Somali Civil Aviation Authority, Ahmed Malin, said the helicopter had come down in the airport's military section after flying in from the airbase in the lower Shabelle region. Although it is unclear if there are casualties, reports noted that a fire erupted after the chopper crashed, leading to a delay of several flights. Still on the global scene, Ukraine authorities say they expect an additional 25,000 to 30,000 North Korean troops to arrive in the coming months, in addition to the 11,000 still deployed last November. The troops' surge follows widening Moscow-Pyongyang cooperation. Kyiv has also obtained translated North Korean artillery manuals, underscoring growing synergy between both countries. If the full 30,000-strong deployment proceeds, it would mark North Korea's biggest foreign military venture in decades and a significant escalation of its commitment to Russia's war in Ukraine. And on sports, Nigeria's chances of securing spots in both the men's and women's 4x100-meter relays at the 2025 World Athletics Championships in Tokyo has suffered a significant setback over the weekend as the Netherlands overtook them in the qualification standings. Both nations had previously been tied in 15th position with identical times of 38.20 seconds, which would have been enough to clinch one of the final two qualification spots based on time. However, the Dutchman quartet clocked a sensational 37.87 seconds, setting a new national record, championship record, and European lead, effectively knocking Nigeria down to 16th, the last spot of the provisional qualification bracket. Finally, of sports, Real Madrid have progressed into the quarterfinals of the 2025 Club World Cup thanks to a narrow 1-0 win over Juventus. The La Liga giants came into the round of 16 clash as each favourites, but were unable to break down Juve in the opening half. Madrid will now face either Borussia Dortmund and Monterrey for a place in the semi-final. And that wraps up our bulletin on news now. Many thanks for joining us. See you next time.